Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Dave, and I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdarchist Ted. Greetings, adventurers and fellow nerds. Aether Skies is a dark steampunk fantasy world where floating cities drift above a cursed and monster-haunted surface, held aloft by volatile ether. Beneath the shimmer of airships and arcana tech, political conspiracies, ancient horrors, and forbidden truths churn just out of sight. You can jump down in the description below to, get the links for original Aether Skies campaign that we ran, or that Dave ran with Open Legend quite some time ago. There's a lot of really great content and fun stuff to explore from just a lore perspective.
Forbidden knowledge and where it lurks. Though Haven has been cleansed, the echoes of its secrets still linger into relics and records and minds too fragile to bear them. Not all doors were closed, and not everything that left the curtain stayed behind.
So the reappearance of Haven, once lost to the curtain storm, brought a flood of forbidden truths, many of which continue to haunt those who unearthed them. While the city may now stand purified, the knowledge it carried has already spread through black markets, shadowed libraries, and whispered cults.
The lingering madness left in those who peered too deeply into Haven's forgotten lore. So, Haven is the returned city that was lost over 100 years ago. In a war, it fell, but then it returned. When it returned, it wasn't quite right. It was covered in this shadowy veil where eldritch lightning and purples and greens danced across the clouds, and nothing that went there returned. Until eventually, a brave group of adventurers did manage to steal away the horrors that were trying to seep out. But it did not stop them. They kept coming and they continued their plots and conspiracies. They never gave up until yet another group of adventurers finally was able to seal off Haven forever, supposedly, and cleanse the city. It's been 25 years that Haven has now been re-inhabited and has joined the world of Aether Skies as one of the 13 flying cities. But the question is, Ted, what kind of forbidden knowledge came back with Haven, and was it all expunged when the city was cleansed? Were the creatures that were there during the cleansing, were they all able to flee and get away? Did they take this forbidden knowledge with them? What are they doing with it? What else could possibly be still buried in Haven underneath the noses of the citizens?
So that's a massive aspect of what this campaign happens to be. And for those who want to play in it, you really have the ability to create as much liberty as you want. It's a city. Where was it for 100 years? Who lived there? Who occupied there? So there had to be generations worth of creatures, monsters, peoples that were there, and therefore there's aspects that could be learned from it. Why did it disappear? It still is out there, and that could be something that's hidden deep within the city itself. What is there? There's got to be dark and powerful magics that are attached to it. The creatures that were brought back when the city returned to the world, it's not possible for them to all have been defeated, so it's very easy that this is a nice gateway to bring new things to the world, some that took flight, some that took to the surface world, some that possibly inhabited the mortals who were sent there to cleanse and purify it. They walk away worse off unknowingly, taking this corruption into themselves, and it's now going to spread to whatever cities they go back to.
Well, a couple things, right? Like, first off, like during the very first campaign, you guys, kicks off with you guys fleeing from Haven because you didn't get very far into the city before you got overwhelmed by the horrors that came back with Haven. But the difference between my first campaign and the second campaign is vast, because really they were like horrible beasts hurling themselves at a cage in the first campaign that you guys were able just to kind of outrun. But in the meantime, they're still trying to break the cage, and that's what that was all about. You guys had to figure out how to keep them from breaking that cage open, and in turn, you had to uncover knowledge that had been lost in order to do that, to seal it back up. And that's what that whole campaign kind of led up to for you guys. In the second campaign, they were much more subtle in their approach to things from beyond, from this realm of madness where eldritch horrors lie. They sent out a ship from there that was returning with plunder, and everything had dark spirits kind of attached to it from this realm of madness. And when things would handle them, or if they would die with their possession, it would be animated into these horrible chaos creatures, right? And I just called them the Dark Riders, but they had evolved from one campaign to the other in what they were using in order to break free and free their masters. They also made contact and had help with outside forces like Dark Bunny and Dr. Lucy from the first campaign. There were a couple of the characters that kind of went over to the other side. Then this adventuring party, they actually had to go to the city, confront Dr. Lucy and Dark Bunny. After they did that, the portal was actually opening, the seal was breaking, and they had to reestablish the seal and kind of push the bad things back to the other side, or at least they think they did. You guys actually went to the surface to figure out this hidden knowledge and lore And you went down there in order to seal it up because you're like, well, we don't want to go back into Haven because it was pretty horrible for the 30 seconds we were there. So you guys are like, you guys had actually come up with a plan to like, well, what if we did it from underneath the city in the surface world? Which had its own problems, as it typically does. Because in Aether Skies, everyone has fled the surface for a reason. That reason isn't well known anymore. But you guys decided, well, it's dangerous down there. We've had people go down there and had horrible things happen to them. But you know what? We think this is the way to go, and we're going to brave that. And you were able to not only uncover some of the secrets of Haven and the fact that the 13 cities were actually an arcane seal locking away this other realm, and you figured out how to repair it. But then you also encountered other beings down there as well that had found a way to kind of survive and live. So not only did you come back kind of as unsung heroes, because no one really knows what you did other than the Aethernati who kind of employed you guys and utilized you guys for this purpose, but you also brought back knowledge of the surface world. You found these basically stone-like humanoids that were cloistered away in a monastery who actually aided you guys in the final confrontation. Also, they had old world lore and knowledge that you guys were able to acquire. And there was other instances too where on the surface you were able to learn about the secrets of the past and what happened before. And then the question is, when you bring it back, what do you guys do with it? What does the Aethernati do with it? Because also you guys kind of split up at the end. Now you didn't all go together.
Yeah, I don't remember all of the specific details because that campaign ended a long time ago, and you've kind of gone back into it to garner knowledge and create the follow-up for your Deity in a Castle game. But it's still fun to kind of revisit and see like what kind of ideas just the conversation is percolating in my mind to see like where I want to take it, considering I have a offline game that I'm going to be running in Aether Skies soon.
Yeah, so I think that kind of leads us into the next topic.
So the Aethernati's precarious role in hoarding or weaponizing the truths that are uncovered through these different operations.
So in another video, we'll probably go in more depth into the Aethernati, but in essence, they are a network of spies. They have a lot of occult leaning to them, where in the world of Zonterra, there is a lot of espionage that happens. The cities have been locked in a Cold War for a long time. The Aethernati actually don't participate in this Cold War. They're there because they know something happened, and their greatest fear is because the cities are so xenophobic and separated from each other, the not knowing of what happened, how we got to this third age, and what caused everyone to flee the surface world has caused them to kind of look deeper. And they're kind of like, they're also like kind of like conspiracy junkies too, I would say. They're always chasing down every strange tale or conspiracy that comes out of any back alley or tavern. And then they also recruit agents in order to facilitate gathering this information, and then sometimes even having to take action. It's very rare for the different cities and factions in Zonterra to actually work together and do anything in unison. The Aethernati are kind of the one group that goes against the grain, and they actually stay connected with the other cities. And for your group, it was the first time you've seen a diverse collection of the different species or origins kind of interacting with each other at that level, on a cooperative level too, right? Which then brought you guys to actually coming together in this like hodgepodge mismatch band of heroes that set out to right the wrongs and solve this problem that was Haven at the time. I know it's been a while, Ted, but what was your kind of impression about the Aether?
So, I mean, realistically, the Aethernati is the Illuminati, a secret organization that's all about accumulating knowledge so that they can be secretly in control. And I don't have a lot of experience in espionage and whatnot, so it was a lot of fun to kind of work with this group and trying to do things as subtle as possible, while realistically we're even though we were playing Open Legend, it's still an aspect of fantasy RPG, so it's really not easy to be subtle when you were trying to literally change the world.
That is true, but at the same time you guys did kind of have to, and this kind of came about in your planning and what you guys did in that game, since what you're trying to do, like you said, save the world. Like, you couldn't just contain yourself to one city. Your quest had taken you to the other cities. And, like, as you went from different cities, like, different adventurers in your party would kind of have to take the lead because it's a place where they know better than everyone else, also having to deal with the xenophobia that goes with each city. And you guys tended to go to the ones that were the most xenophobic just because that's where the clues had kind of taken you.
Right.
But that being said, too, like, that makes it so easy as a plot device to hide different pieces of lore throughout the world, and by themselves they don't mean a whole lot. It's only when you put them together.
And that's how it has to be when you're playing a protracted game. You've got to get a couple of pieces before things start to add up to anything.
As the game goes on and we develop the world and the campaign, maybe that's by design, right? These dark forces have had their hand on the helm so very subtly, but in a way where they're like tweaking all the different city states and pitting them against each other quietly, because each of them has a handful of these puzzle pieces, like you said. But when they're all stashed, spread out throughout the 13 cities, you don't get to see the whole picture together and see how it fits. So that is definitely a theme that may end up getting explored in upcoming games, and something for you to think about as you're getting ready to run your own Aether Skies game. Then let's look at the moral weight of those who must decide what knowledge should be shared and what must be buried again for the good of all, right? So we're talking about the Aethernati, like they've taken that role upon themselves. And again, like within any organization, you're going to have different personalities, and different folks are going to have different agendas. Overall, as an organization, they're working for the greater good. How does that work with all the individual pieces? Especially when you're coming from these 12 cities where they're very xenophobic, and they're very hesitant to trust outsiders and to get along with people that aren't like them.
Like there is too much stacked against you. So like the similar approach needs to be done here. You need to have a little bit more leeway in the adventures that you create, because if you just say, oh well, I find knowledge, sharing of knowledge is always great. If we find something, it's got to get dispersed, because too many people having certain knowledge is absolutely horrible, because there is a good chance someone is going to use it for evil. And in a world where corruption and madness and sanity are all an aspect of the very play style of the game, you have to look at this and say, okay, I need to hold this back just to be on the safe side so that this does not get into the wrong hands. But how much of it do you share? How much of it do you just let die? That is an element of itself, a very fun question to ask. And like, depending upon what the information is and how dangerous that character can perceive it, that's where you really got to get to the crux of it.
Kind of the funny thing is, because of how that campaign went towards the end, and Ted's character, Bunny, actually got corrupted. Just before that happens, though, there's a fork in the road, right? To the left, he's corrupted. To the right, he's good old Bunny. And unfortunately, because of what happened in the game, Ted didn't get to decide what he did with that knowledge that he was taking back from these adventures and where he went. And instead, I did when I took him over as an NPC, because now he was basically helping the forces of Haven who wanted to escape, and kind of became Dr. Lucy's right-hand man. And so he was going to take that knowledge and use it for ill.
And what's kind of a little bit amusing is, in the party, we had the Knight of the Anti-Ether, we had a couple others, and then we had the people who were actively using magic. Dr. Lucy, the Ethermancer, and myself, Bunny, the Ether Fight. Like, because Dr. Lucy, was so attached to the magic and was always nice to Bunny, I don't know if she had started to go down the dark road, whether he would have just willingly sided with her or not. The choice was taken, but I kind of look at it as amusing that he might have just gone that way anyway.
Maybe a little more reluctantly than he ended up going.
Sure, but I look at it and I find the whole process amusing. That it could have been reluctant of like, no, don't go, at least take me with you. But I just find it amusing, and it tells a more amazing story than, because we all went, spoiler alert, after the results of episode 13, the characters are sent in different directions, and then now Dark Bunny got to be the bad guy in your game. So I love it. Had
Bunny gone back, what do you think Bunny would have done with all this forbidden knowledge he'd accumulated?
So I think if Bunny had gone back with this stuff that has the ability to corrupt, if he was successful in the mission, like, I felt like that would have been a profound change for him, and there might have been a much higher degree of confidence than he'd ever done before, and he would probably put his foot down and say, this needs to be reburied. Those of us that have seen it, witnessed it, we've done it, we've found this mission, but this can't get out because there are too many unknown factors to look at this, and the wrong person has this. It's too volatile. It's too dangerous to just let anybody know.
It would have been interesting to see, for sure.
Absolutely. If your airship crew stumbled upon a relic from Haven containing forbidden knowledge, would you risk everything to uncover its secrets, or leave it buried to protect your sanity? All right, so thank you for joining us in this journey through the shadows of forbidden knowledge. We hope it inspires new depths in your storytelling adventures.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, stay updated. Join us next week as we explore how justice is enforced or avoided